guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be talking about another topic in the series of the financial independence journey, and we're going to be talking about psychology behind the fire journey. And I'm just going to be asking Peter questions, and he's going to be answering them and just explaining what the psychology behind the fire journey entails. Just before we proceed, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe so you can stay up to date with our videos, and I'll just get right to it. So first question, how does your mind affect your journey to fire?
Well, that's an interesting one because when it gets to the fire journey, you're going to face certain challenges along the way, and those challenges technically are not very difficult, but however, you're battling something that sometimes you may or may not have full control over as a human being. And so your mind comes into play here because during the fire journey, for instance, you're going to be battling things like your emotions. You're going to be battling things like swings in the market, your investments going up, your investments going down. And as you know, as human beings, we're very emotional creatures. So psychology behind fire and how your mind affects your journey towards fire is quite important. For me, I feel it's the most important part, just because without that, you're basically not going to achieve fire, in my opinion.
Right. And then when you say your emotions, like your mind, is it basically like, in simple terms, like just how you feel? Like,
yeah, so human beings generally are or tend to be irrational when it gets to certain situations.
like
Money, things that trigger your emotions. And so what you notice within your, or as you're going along the fire journey is fear at some point starts to creep in. Why? Because people don't like to lose money. No one likes to lose money. So once that starts to happen, you have to keep your emotions in check. You have to stick to the plan. Otherwise, it is not going to work. You already know what you want to do. You already know how to get there. You already know your FI, or financial independence number. Just stick to the plan. That's the hardest part.
yeah, because I was just going to ask you if there are like steps to take, or like is there a secret, or like is there something because it's very hard to just say that the stock market is crashing, for example, and you just expect me, basically that's what you're trying to say, right? You just expect me to
Stick to the
stick
plan.
to the plan, leave my money as it is, don't try to sell, don't try to do anything, and just leave my money as it is. So are there steps that we can take? I know it's not cast in stone anywhere, like steps to take, but like, are there things that you can advise people just starting out, so we know when we get to that situation, we know what steps to take?
Yeah, I would say the first step and the most important step for me is to keep it simple. And this is because that has been something that has been very important towards stabilizing emotions over time. When you start to overcomplicate things, start to overcomplicate your investments, you start to get into the fear of missing out. So I'll give you an instance. When the stock market starts to crash, by default, every human being, or at least every normal human being, would want to save their money, sell, right? When it starts to go up, they would want to buy. But when it gets to things like that, if you haven't achieved fire yet, and it starts to go down, while everyone is selling, what you're supposed to be doing at that point is dollar cost averaging, trying to buy. Why? Because this reduces the average for your overall stocks, like the overall stock price average in your portfolio. So you're bringing your average down because the prices are going down. Now, if you decide to sell at that particular point, it doesn't really make so much sense, because when you look at it, people tend to see stocks as just little things, but I feel like a stock is equivalent to something as big as owning a house, because your portfolio could actually be more expensive than your house, for instance.
Right.
So if you had a house, let's just give random figures here. Let's say $500,000, and the economy is really bad, but someone comes, no, just assume now you've fully paid off the house, you're not owing anything, you have that house, and someone comes to tell you that, oh, precious, this economy is really bad, I'm going to give you $250,000 for the house, 50% less. Would you want to sell it?
No, because you know the value of the house, right?
Exactly. So the stocks are like the same thing. You know the value of the companies you're investing in. If someone comes to tell you, oh, let me buy your stock for less, chances are you're not supposed to sell it, except you need the cash. Which is why one of the things they try to educate people on when you're going to financial independence is put in money that you do not need at that point.
Right.
So if you put in all your savings, you don't have any emergency fund, when things like that starts to happen, fear starts to creep in. Your emotions start to become unstable, and it leads to bad decisions generally.
Yeah, so I understand that. So basically, what you're trying to say to me and to people watching this is that the market would always come back up. It would always eventually come back up, because recently it crashed.
Yeah.
And then it's coming back up right now. So you're saying that if I had bought like stocks when it crashed, when it was going down, right now it would be going up, and then I don't have to buy it at the price it's going for
Yeah,
right
your
now.
average generally would have.
My average would have come down as
Yeah.
well. Okay.
But the thing is, it's quite difficult, because now, maybe in hindsight, it's easier to see that, oh, I should have bought it at the rock bottom. But at that point where it's happening,
yeah,
everybody's scared.
right. That's for sure. That's true.
And if you're used to the, once you start the FIRE journey, it kind of helps you tailor your mind, in the sense that when you invest in certain ETFs or certain types of investments, you know that if you're losing money, 95% of everyone in the world is losing money, if not 100.
Right. I think we should, at some point, we'll speak about ETFs and like investments to do. But basically, what you're saying is know the value of the company you're investing in. Once you know the value of something, regardless of how much anyone tries to convince you or what the media is saying, or you know the value, so you know it will always come back up, basically is what you're saying, correct?
Very, very simple.
Okay.
So take, for instance, you have an iPhone. Let's assume no one likes to feel like they're the best investor, no one likes to feel like they know what stocks to buy, but take everything around your life. If you really believe that that iPhone was of value to you, value to your business, value to making videos on, let's say, for instance, YouTube, so you bought it. There are individuals like you, just like how they do the whole digital marketing, targeting people like you. There are people like you that also believe that iPhone is of value to them. So if you have an iPhone, and this is not financial advice, by the way, but if you have an iPhone, you could as well buy Apple stocks. So that when those individuals believe there's value in the products that Apple is releasing, they would come and buy Apple stocks. Your stock price will go up. You'd get dividends from things like that. So if you believe in a car or a brand, why don't you own a stock for that brand?
Right. That's really interesting. I have one more question. I have several questions for you, but let me ask this first. If you think the FIRE journey, you believe it's straightforward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think it's very straightforward, how come like people don't talk about it as much. We don't get to hear about it as much.
Well, I think it's something behind the case where the FIRE journey could be seen as boring investing. When I say boring investing, it's basically I could wrap up the FIRE journey or tell you what the FIRE journey is all about, or maybe, let's say for instance, ETFs to invest in, or things to invest in less than 30 minutes.
Okay.
But to the human being or to individuals, because of the way society is, it becomes boring. So if I just told you today, oh Precious, invest in XYZ, and just keep doing that for the next 20 years, you would just be like, that's it?
Yeah.
Nothing else? No. Do I stop my job? No, keep going to your job. Do I do something else? No. Do I need to look at the news? No. Just keep investing same amount every day or every month for the next 20 years and you'll be good. No one likes that. No one likes to hear that because it doesn't get the adrenaline pumping. It doesn't give you that that feeling of being a prophet, being able to see the future. But the truth is you don't need to see the future, because if you're broke, everyone else is broke if you're investing in the right things. So if everyone else is broke or everyone else is bankrupt, then money has no value. It's just that whole thing, like, you're not, if you don't have something new to talk about every day, if you don't,
people get bored.
they get bored
Yeah.
and all of a sudden it looks like what you're saying doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But in actual sense, like, it's just very
Very
straightforward.
straightforward.
Do the same thing, be consistent, keep doing it regardless of market conditions, because there's a way you invest that if the market doesn't favor you, it doesn't favor anyone in the world. So if it doesn't favor anyone in the world, then you have nothing to lose.
So basically, I think in all of this, the psychology is very important. The psychology of behind the FIRE journey is important, and how you can train your mind. But also good investments are important as well.
Yeah, but you don't have to be Warren Buffett to be able to pick the next best stock.
Right.
You could wait for those stocks to come to you.
Can you
And
explain?
do you want that in this video or the next video?
Don't we want that? Please explain.
So basically, people think I need to know that, for instance, let's say a company X
Right.
is going to be the next big thing next week.
Okay.
But if I'm on my FIRE journey, I don't care. Reason is because the investments I'm putting in, company X is gonna come to me at some point.
Yeah, it's going to be like, because of the kind of investments like the kind of stocks or whatever you're investing in.
Yeah.
At some point, it would be company X would be one of the big companies up there.
So if you're so good
I
and you're so good, like you're gonna make people maybe 100,000%,
yeah.
no problem. It's not a race. I'm going for my journey, you're going for your journey, everyone is going for their journey, right?
Mhm.
We all have different FI numbers. But the thing is, if you're really good, you're gonna make it into my portfolio at some point. So I don't need to chase after you. I don't need to research after you. Let the big boys do that and bring you to me.
Yeah, there's so much. I feel like the questions I have, there's so much I want to ask, but most of it would take up a lot of time because they're basically mostly about investments and the right investments to do. I don't think there's any book or anything that actually or anyone that would be able to tell you the best investments to put. Like, I think it's up to you and doing your research, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Basically.
For sure.
But I think we will talk about it if Peter is up for it, in a different video where he tries to explain what he's currently investing in. Maybe not, because this is not financial advice, right? So maybe not the best investments to put your money in, but basically investments he has put his money in, and if it's working for him, how he's going. That way, I guess we get to hear it from someone, not just basically hearing the book version or like the theoretical version, we hear from him as well. Is that something that you're willing to do? Maybe in a different video, right?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can. I mean, when it gets to stuff like this, it's not exactly a do as I do. It's more like think the way. It's about the way you think.
Yeah, but your experience as well would
Yeah.
help because I'm learning as well. So
Yeah.
you started the journey before me.
Mhm.
You have more experience and you have more knowledge about it.
Mhm.
So like hearing it from someone else that has gone through like, oh, I've been here, like the market has crashed before, it has come back up. Like
Yeah.
it gives me some form of confidence that I need to actually put more money in investing as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, just hearing it from you, of course, it's not do as I say, but
Yeah.
just hearing what you think about it. Is that something you'll be willing to do? For
Yeah,
us?
of course. I mean, we can always talk about it in subsequent videos.
Okay.
I think it's also a good idea to give people the thought process behind certain choices.
Okay. Yeah.
This is because my thought process might not always be 100% the best. It could be logical to the best of my ability, but some people out there might be better. I don't know. To be honest, I don't care. The reason is because, again, with the FIRE journey, as long as you do your due diligence, do your due research, there is no super investor. We're all investing in the same thing somehow, because your investments today may not be in my portfolio, but at some point, if they're really good, and I keep saying it, they will come to my portfolio. And
Right.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, you can make your money this year, I can make mine next 2 years, but in the end, it's all about how did we get to
How
that.
aggressive are you?
How aggressive are you? The risk? How do you spread
And
your
how much you
portfolio?
want? What's your FI number?
Is and
Yeah.
all that, and we all want to get to that point. So it doesn't really matter anyway.
Right,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Thank you. So, just before we round up this video, do you have any last words? I know you said a lot, but do you have any last words?
Last words.
Not last word per se, but like just to round up the video, do you have anything you want to tell us so we can basically use it to hold body until the next video?
There's one concept I try to remind myself of when things are not going the way you expected when it gets to investments is be fearful when everyone's greedy,
Be careful.
fearful,
Okay.
and be greedy when everyone's fearful.
Okay.
So that simply translates to when everyone's selling, be greedy and buy. If you really feel there's value in that, buy. When everyone's overhyped, be very cautious with your investments, because that's when you could want to spot the next big thing, be the next profit. You just have to be careful there and be consistent and stick with your plan, stick with your thought process.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's use this one and whole body first before the next video. Be fearful when everyone is greedy when it comes to investing, and be greedy when everyone is fearful, right?
Yeah, and I think that was by, I'm not sure now, but
Oh,
probably.
it's not yours.
No, I'm just a novice here. But I think that was by Warren Buffett. I'm not sure, but it's by one of those
Yeah.
big
I
investors.
feel
So
like there's so much to cover with financial independence. Like I said, I myself, I'm still learning.
we are still
Yeah,
learning.
we're still learning actually. And I mean, we can recommend books, well, maybe in another video or at some point when we talk about the basics first. But yeah, those are the questions that I have for you today. Hopefully we get to go more in depth in the next video.
Yeah.
Yeah. We will see you in the next video. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye.